What is the one quality that you feel if you had more of, you could generate so much more success in your life? Answer that question for me, and we'll dive into a little bit more of that with our conversation with Claire. Now, I'm going to pass the torch right away to Claire so she can dive into who she is, what she does, why that question is so important to her, and why she thinks it should be important to you. Hi, Claire. How's it going?
Awesome. Thanks, Shauna. So great to be here. Thanks for inviting me. Hello, everyone. I love pass the baton. Here I am. Jazz hands.
That's right.
I'm Claire Sewell. I'm founder of a company called Swell Coach. So I work mainly with female business leaders, entrepreneurs, business owners to help them overcome their major obstacles in creating more, being more, having more, and really fulfilling the potential and the goals that they aim to achieve. So that question is quite a dear one on my heart, actually. What's the one quality or characteristic that you feel if you had more of, you could have more success or be different or have more results in your life? Because a lot of the times when I ask that question of myself to within my community, the answer is, do you want me to share the answer, Shauna?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think everybody's gotten enough time to kind of sit on that and go, I think I know. So go ahead.
And of course, it's going to be very, very different to many people, but the majority of the people, the amount of times I get back, the answer being the quality is confidence. And I feel like as a society, we really put confidence on a pedestal and we misunderstand what confidence actually is and where it comes from. And so we're going to be diving into that today, you and me, Shauna, as to what is confidence? Where does it actually come from versus what we think it is?
That's going to be a hard hitter conversation. I already know it. And if anybody's been with us a few times, and they know that I don't know where the heck this conversation is going to go. We only know where it starts. And it is starting with this idea of confidence and the fact that most people think that when I'm more confident, then I'm going to achieve great results. Then I'm going to show up on camera. Then I'm going to show up more for my business. And then. But you know what? I have a sign upstairs in my dining room, and it's a big sign. And it has 3 words on it. It has yesterday, now, and tomorrow. And guess which words are crossed out? Yesterday and tomorrow. Because now is the time, regardless of confidence, in my not so humble opinion. So Claire, where are you coming from in that space? I know that you believe in that kind of idea, but there's a depth of knowledge and expertise that you bring to this that I think would be invaluable for you to share.
Super. Yeah, sure. I mean, absolutely everything. Yes to everything you said. Yesterday, tomorrow, or now. Which ones are going to be more relevant to us? And the greatest misunderstanding. Hey, Sahib, good to see you. The greatest misunderstanding of confidence or happiness or joy or contentment or fulfillment, anything like that, is that it's something for us all to get. So we're going to get it from out there. So I'll be happy when I have more confidence. When I have more confidence, as you said, then I'd be more confident. Then I could approach more people, to talk about my business, and I could go networking. If I had more confidence, I could be so different. And the truth of it is that confidence is innate. Confidence is inbuilt within us. And the only thing that stops us from feeling more confident is this thought that I'm not confident, I don't have any confidence, or I need something else in order to be. So we're taking a thought and objectifying it, putting it out into the external world. So if I do all these different things, 101 different things, check them off a list, then I'm going to have confidence. There's so many times where we've said that to ourselves, gone out and done the thing, and then our next level challenge comes in, and then we go, when I do that, then I'll be more confident, right? So this whole idea, it's like a hamster on a wheel, like this whole idea of that we need anything out there in order to be different is a misunderstanding of how thought works and the truth of our innate human potential.
So what I'm hearing within all of that is that there's a direct connection between confidence and courage.
Yeah, well, I think the direct relationship being that our entire existence comes from our, I guess, from thought. Our experience, not our existence, but our experience comes from thought in the moment. So the one thing that anyone can do in any moment, whether they've got confident or not, or whether they feel confident or not, is take action. So the beautiful thing about courage is that the point of courage is that in spite of the fear that's going on within me, I'm going to take action. That's courage. So whilst we may not feel confident in the moment, we can know that we have, infinite amounts of courage, because courage is taking action in spite of feeling fear. So rather than waiting around for confidence, which is very difficult to feel, because thoughts and feelings are connected. So if you don't think you have confidence, you're not going to feel confident, right? So if you get confidence out of the picture and just go, I know that despite this fear, if I take action, that's courage. I've got courage. We've all got buckets of it. So knowing that we need to do the thing and just doing the thing anyway, whilst our knees are shaking, knocking together, that's courage. And that the more that we do that, the more that creates momentum. The more we see the results and that we can achieve them, the more confident we feel.
And it's
because
the feeling.
that thinking is gone.
And that's what I was hearing. So it's the actions that come from courage reinforce your feelings of confidence, which have been there all along. It's there within you.
Yeah, it just
you've suppressed them, right? Like, not suppress, I don't think that's the right word. You've been conditioned throughout your life by what you've been told, by what you've seen, both in personal and societal experiences, that, oh, well, I shouldn't be. No, I couldn't be. No, all of these doubts, and that has just made your confidence kind of hide. It's there. It's those courage steps that reinforce your brain to switch that thought.
Yeah, it's the thought that's blocking it, right? So as long as we think, and it's not just thinking, a lot of times we believe that we can't do something. But it doesn't feel like a thought. It feels like truth because I believe it. So anytime, any belief, beliefs and thoughts create feelings, feelings create behaviors, behaviors create actions, actions create results. The cycle of reality, we've all probably seen it at some stage, which is effectively saying that whatever you think or whatever you believe is 100% creating your results. So whilst we've got a thought there of I don't have confidence or I need more confidence, you're not going to feel confident. It's not possible. But what the action through courage does is that we start to see, through taking action, we start to see, oh, maybe I can do this. Oh, look, I did do this. Hey, that wasn't so bad. Hey, it wasn't as hard as I thought it was. Actually, I'm really good at this. It changes the thinking. It changes the thought processes, and we start to see, and then the confidence starts re-emerging. It's always there, like you say, but it's just blocked by a big fat thought.
A big fat thought. It's true. It's true. I've actually been witnessing this with my own child, because she's learning how to ride her bike. And so it's, I can't. I said, well, pretty sure it was Henry Ford who said, if you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. And so I've been saying this to her. I don't think she gets it, but but it is that, right? It's just says, okay, listen, you want to ride your bike? Believe you can ride your bike. If you want to do cold plunges in New Zealand, which is what we were chatting about just earlier, then think that I can dang well do this and do it, right? I think that that's such an important part of how we show up, which is all a part of who we are in our personal and professional marketing space. Because like I say, you're never not marketing. So when I see you doing these amazing cold plunges and doing these seemingly chaotic swims, this is your courage coming through to reinforce your confidence in your ability to do hard things.
Yeah.
Do things that are scary.
Totally.
And that has a ripple effect in the rest of your life.
Yeah, That's 100% why I do those stupid things. Running in hurricanes, swimming in tornado, whatever, that's it's just to prove to myself. And I know people that hear this can think that's incredibly irresponsible and maybe, but there is something. I know the depth of the human potential. And I know that the one thing that stops us from allowing that to come through is our thinking that we're lacking, that we're limited, and that we're separate from this universal energy. And so I'm constantly trying to show myself the depth of the truth of me. So I set myself pretty major challenges.
That's beautiful. And that's it leads me to think, I don't know, maybe I'm just a little bit out there, but it makes me think of things like, the power of the mind, being able to manipulate your surroundings, and this idea of manifestation to the 10th degree, not just like actions lead, like your thoughts and actions, but like big things. You hear about it all the time. It's almost like magic, but I feel like that's the first step, right? Is believing that it could happen.
Yeah. And I don't think it's too hard to I think once we look around, and I heard this from someone about maybe 10 years ago, whatever, but if you've got a dream on your heart, if you've got something that you really want to achieve, all you have to do is look around and see one person doing it to know that it's possible, right? So anything is achievable. It's how badly we want it. What are we willing to give up in order to get it? And so, some people can look at that and go, well, I want to be an astronaut, so that's not possible. Well, everything's possible if you want it bad enough, and if it's written on your heart. So I think there's a, what's the word? A caveat to be put onto this is how much do you want it, and how much is it going to be impacting the world? So there's that. But it really is a matter of just looking around and seeing if somebody else is doing this, then it means it's possible for me.
And that voice you were just talking about, that said, oh, I can't do that. That's impossible. Is that what you refer to as your inner bully?
Yeah. I mean, the inner bully is, that voice is what I call our false self or our ego self. There's many different terms for it. The inner bully is that kind of ratcheted up times 10, right? Where you do something and you say, you're a loser, or you're a failure, or you'll never amount to anything, or see, you never commit, you never follow through on your commitments. That's the bully. I think the bully can be all sorts of different, like the levels of harshness that we talk to ourselves with. And it's a driver. So we have to first get really conscious to this voice that's going on in our head. How often are we telling ourselves stuff that's really limiting or really harmful or really nasty, like things that you wouldn't even say to your worst enemy, right? So starting to become aware of that voice in our head is the first step to be able to make changes to who we are and how we are.
Now, I think people are getting annoyed with all of my references to like Pixar and things, but I'm curious. Have you seen Luca?
No.
So in Luca, these two boys, now they're sea creatures and boys. It's an interesting story. It's for kids, but it's good. There's one boy who's very timid, and another boy who is very flippant and doesn't care, that sort of thing. And the timid boy is saying, no, we can't do this. We can't do this. And the other boy says, no, that's your Bruno. You need to shout, Silenzio Bruno. And that's just stop saying you can't and just do the thing. Is that kind of what we're talking about with regards to
look, totally. And actually, if you look behind any of the fairy tales or a lot of the Disney stories, Beauty and the Beast is a classic example, actually, of this duality that we've got going on in our mind between the false self, the software programming that I talked to you about before, this ego self, and I call it our infinite self. Again, there's many names. So Einstein referred to our rational mind and our intuitive mind. So there is a duality that's constantly going on. People call it their angel and their devil on their shoulder sort of thing. And it is really about, so Beauty and the Beast is all about silencing the ego self and seeing the truth of our true self, of our infinite self. Like, you know, when she kisses him for who he is, when you realize who you are, and he turns into this beautiful prince, like, la, you know, that we've all got that going on for us, but we literally live out of the identity, and we identify with this ego self as the false self. And very few of us, through misunderstanding, innocent misunderstandings, have ever been introduced to this idea of a true self, a natural self, or an infinite self. But we've all had experiences and glimpses of it throughout our entire life. It's what keeps us going through the hard times, right? Is this innate evolution, growth that is the part of who we are.
And in order to tap into that, you really need to start silencing that bully and stepping into courage to reinforce the confidence that is there.
Yeah. So really, I mean, like I said, like the really starting to listen to what this part of us, this we identify with. And people call it personality. It's, you know, even that's not fixed and constant. So really identifying with the voice in your head and starting to see is that true? Starting to write down what you tell yourself on paper sometimes. Every time you think you can't do something, or like, what are the stories you're telling yourself about yourself? Then write them down on paper. Look at the validity of it and then say, is that true? And where in my life have I actually already proved this to be not true? Because there's so many times, but we never test out. We never question this voice in our head. We just think it's real because it's in our head. Therefore, it must be me.
That's actually really interesting, because I've seen this over and over again, because my primary study was developmental psychology, which was very much involved in both parenting and adolescent development, right? So there's a lot of conversation around how your inner voice is a representation of your experiences as a child, and it actually is reflected, like the voice of your parents is reflected in your inner monologue, right? And that's a difficult thing to kind of navigate, because it supports what you just said, is that it's not you, it's not your voice, and it's probably not true. And this is a really great activity. That's maybe not the right word, but a really great action step for anybody sitting in this space right now, knowing full well that you have that bully in there, that you're holding yourself back, and that you need to push through, is to take a moment. Open up your journal, or grab a piece of paper from your printer. I don't care if you don't journal. Get in there and write down a few of those things.
Yeah.
And decide, like, is this true? Is this me? Is this the me who I am, like at my heart's core? And then write out how you friggin' kicked that thought's butt. Because that is you saying, it's not true, and I can let go of that so that I can keep moving onward and upward.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Most of our limiting beliefs come from between the ages of 0 to 7. So experiences that we had in our child body with no context of actually what was happening, of no context of what was going on for our parents, or whatever. We had an experience and we made it mean something about us, and from there those beliefs have stuck. And people think the world's happening to us, but it's actually happening through us. And so a belief creates your reality. Remember, we talked about the cycle of reality. So a belief creates your reality. But then most people look outside at their reality, their experiences, and go, see, I told you I wasn't good enough. But the reality is just reinforcing the belief that you already had in the first place, that you put out there. So the lens that you're looking at the world through is, and there's about 7 of them, but I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, I'm not safe, I don't belong. Like, those are the lenses that many adults are walking around with, seeing the world like that, the lens. But it's all come from their experience between the ages of 0 and 7, and limiting beliefs. And so they're thinking, they're living in a world that's just actually not true. But that's the belief that they're coming from. So it's really vital, if we want to change our experience of life, or we want to change our results, we've got to get to the root of what our beliefs are. What do we believe about the world? What do we believe about us in the world? What do we believe that we're capable of? Where are the limits? And if you can start with the limits, then you with the journaling, or there's many different exercises, but then you can start seeing through the the rubbish that we tell ourselves.
And that's something that holds a lot of people back from showing up, not just personally, but also professionally in their business. As they're many entrepreneurs, they're showing up in their business and they really don't even know who they are. So whenever people like myself start talking to them about authentic marketing, show up as you, make sure that you're not like succumbing to all of the things that people are feeding you. Well, you're already there and you're going, I don't know who I am.
Yeah.
It's scary. It's so scary. So how can you go into that space while exploring your inner self, your inner who you are, and really shedding the conditioning that you've been fed all through your life, your entire life, regardless of your age, in order to really grow your business in a way that suits you, in a way that really complements who you are and how you want to live your life?
Yeah, it's a great question, and I love what you're saying about, you know, authenticity and be authentic, because most people think they are. You know, without this, all this stuff is unconscious. 95% of our thinking is unconscious to us. We're not even aware of it. So we're creating results in our world and not even knowing where it's coming from, like not even knowing the beliefs. But the way that we've been designed is so phenomenal, magnificent, in that we have an inbuilt system that tells us when we're operating out of alignment to the truth of who we are, which is our emotions. So anytime you experience anger, frustration, fear, insecurity, what I would call triggers, that is your inbuilt system going, Mayday, Mayday. You're seeing the world differently outside of the truth of you. You're not seeing things accurately. So the first thing that you want to really start looking out for, walk around with a little mini notepad in your pocket, or use your notes on your phone. But anytime you get triggered, anytime you get annoyed, anytime you judge another person, write it down and start looking into what am I making this mean about me? Because that's what our emotions are telling us, is that we've got a story that's out of alignment with the truth of who we are. And so once you can start getting to the, you know, I sort of get my clients to ask the so what question. So what am I making this event mean about me? It means this. Okay, well, so what about that is important that you think is, you know, is upsetting to you? And then so what? And then so what? And ultimately, when you keep asking those questions, it'll get down to, well, it means I'm making it mean that I'm not good enough, or I'm making it mean that they're better than me, or I'm making it mean that I don't belong in this group. Like, it'll ultimately come down to some big truth that we think about us. But the most beautiful way to start getting sight of this is to start looking at our feelings, looking at the emotions that are coming up for you.
I'd love to dive into that world a lot more deeply, because I have a lot of, and this could be very much like something under my own skin, but I always think of something to the effect of, okay, but I know from myself some things that I've worked through, and from the experiences of many people who I have been associated with, whose emotional responses are also conditioned responses. And so that now we're getting messy, and we don't have time to dive into that, but I want to leave that just like as a little, hold on, because this can get deep really quickly.
Yeah, they're always conditioned to our feelings are always coming from our own thinking, though. No one else can make us feel anything. Well, that's quite a hard concept to get your head around. But ultimately, we're living in the feeling of our thinking. We're living in the feeling of what we're making everything mean.
I love
We're
that.
literally just living in our head. So
we're living in the feeling of our thinking.
100% of the time.
Wow.
100% of the time. So even with the conditioning, we have made it mean something about us. It's the story that we've put on the world.
Another conversation, Claire, because this is starting to get. So I love philosophy, and I love, I like to call it brain gymnastics, and that's what this is sounding like, and it is a thrill. So let's stick a pin in it. I don't like that saying. I don't know why I say it. It's from the movie Bolt, and there's like this creepy guy who says that to the little girl, and I'm like,
I've never heard that.
Goodness gracious. Let's pause. That's a better one. And we'll come back to this 100%, Claire. We're going to come back, and that way everybody else can join us in this kind of deeper conversation, maybe in a couple weeks, a couple months, something like that. So everybody prepare yourselves, because I'm ready for this conversation. And with that, Claire, I wanted to invite you to give like a little bit of final words, a little bit of a cherry on top, so to speak. And also don't forget to let people know where they can find you, because people need to find you. Absolutely.
I think, well, thank you so much. I think my final word would be, we are all magnificently designed. We are all capable of much, much more than what we think that we're capable of. And the best gift that we can give ourselves in order to do and have the best that we want in life is to start exploring our inner journey. So I always say, go within and you'll never go without. And that means like self-inquiry is one of the best things that we can do for ourselves, to recognize the truth and the strength and the resilience and the capacity of what we're capable of. So that's what I do. I'm a self-mastery coach. I'm all about self-inquiry. But there's also a lot of free resources out there that I offer and that I can point you in the direction of. So if you want to get in touch and know more about it, then my details are below in the website, or contact me on LinkedIn.
Perfect. And I definitely encourage everyone to contact you over on LinkedIn and to actually start a conversation. Because as you can see from today, we're not just talking about change your mind and you can change your life. We're talking about the deep inner workings, right? We're actually diving in and making massive changes to ourselves from within, from around our environment, and then like bigger. Think big. Think big. So thank you so much, Claire, for joining me today. It has been absolutely phenomenal. We will 100% be chatting again.
And thank you to Pam. I really love what you're saying there. Madeline, awesome. I agree with movies and concepts. They're phenomenal. And Sajeev, thank you so much for joining us.
Chat soon.
Thanks, Shauna.